Joining us now, Jason Baker, University of Southern Mississippi ESPN Plus broadcaster. We've got the Golden Eagles, Jason, headed to the Plains to play a little baseball, coming off a really good weekend in the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. Morning, how you doing?
Gerard, great to be with you, my man, and excited to talk some Golden Eagle baseball.
Yeah. Are you surprised at the success the team has had this year?
No, I think this was the expectation that was going to come with this ball club. They knew what they returned. They lost a lot from a year ago from that ball club that made it to the Super Regional. But I think they understood a veteran lineup. They sort of knew that they had the pieces in place out in the field and maybe in the batting order that were going to lead to some success. And then when you return an ace like Tanner Hall from a year ago, it was a team that to me quietly knew like, hey, we're gonna be good and we're gonna develop along the way some young arms. And if those young arms come on, hey, we could be really good. And I think what you've seen is the work of Christian Ostrander, the pitching coach, in taking those young arms and just sort of being very patient with them throughout this season. And now you're seeing the dividends of them paying off right now.
So how do you think that's going to manifest itself over at the regional at Auburn? What's that look like?
We'll see. I think it looks okay. I think, they got to get off to a good start. Scott Berry, I heard multiple times yesterday, said, hey, we got to stay in the winner's bracket. I look for him to do what he's done in years past and throw his ace in Tanner Hall. To me, what that'll mean is, hey, you're going to get off to a good start. Now, whether that's success or not, we'll find out Friday afternoon. But to me, if they get into that winner's bracket and you're able to hold some of those elite arms that they developed through this season, to me, that's where the success is going to come. Anytime you get into a loser's bracket, that pitching staff gets thin, and all of a sudden, that's when success can kind of elude you, if you will.
Yeah. Baseball's a unique game in that respect, Jason, when you think about it, because in the other sports, the starting lineups are fairly consistent. In baseball, the most important member of the starting lineup, arguably the pitcher, is not the same every game. So, and that's what makes it kind of neat. I think that's why it's so balanced, the game is, and why, as you well know, any team in the country can beat any other team, and it certainly stands a good chance of doing so because they all got at least one person that could toe that rubber that can mow the other team down.
Yeah, it's a great point, Gerard, right? I mean, to me, you're only as good as your next day starting pitcher. And so from the Golden Eagles standpoint, sure, they're going to go in there with their ace and Tanner Hall, but Sanford's coming with their ace and Jacob Cravey, too, who's really and truly his numbers very comparable to Tanner Hall on Friday. So you're talking about two aces that are going to toe that rubber. And, it's probably going to go to the team that's ace has the better day, truth be told. Maybe gets them deeper in the ball game to the 7th or the 8th. And you're right. That's what makes this game so fun. And really and truly this time of year, it sort of gives you chills to think about how much each pitch matters from those starters. Because, man, you take a starter that gets you to the 6th or the 7th, man, it really sets you up well. And not just for that game, but truly into the next game because you've saved an arm, if you will.
Right. Absolutely. Sanford certainly always out there. I mean, it's amazing the success they've had for a small program over there, but they play some dang good baseball in Birmingham.
Yeah, and they play a lot of it. They won 3 games on Saturday to win the Southern Conference title, which is kind of unique. That's not typically the norm, but the way the weather delay set it up and the way that coming out of the loser's bracket that they did, they had to get 3 wins, and they did that. And so you're talking about a team really kind of riding a unique wave of momentum, not just winning their conference tournament, but doing it with 3 consecutive wins in the same day. It's going to kind of bring them in on a high, if you will. And, of course, once the baseball's rolled out there, some of that momentum stuff from maybe the previous game, as we just mentioned, right, is kind of thrown out the window because if Tanner Hall's on, then, hey, that momentum can quickly be squelched. But to me, the unique part of it is they've got a mentality now like, hey, this is what we had to accomplish to get just to this point, meaning winning 3 games, coming out of a loser's bracket. And so for me, that creates an element to this. If you're the Golden Eagles and you're Scott Berry, you kind of got to guard against that because sometimes you can get caught in hey, this is a 3 seed in this regional and we should be able to beat them. But that's just not the case. And you really have to guard against momentum. I'm a big believer in the rhythm of baseball games and a big believer that these teams sort of pick up rhythms. That's why you see winning streaks like what Southern Miss went on. And I think the Golden Eagles really have to guard against that, especially early on Friday afternoon, to sort of
Yeah.
squelch some of that momentum that Sanford's got coming in.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You're so right. The cadence of the game, it's from pitch to pitch, that momentum can change. It's unique in that respect. Again, unlike other sports where pretty much once the steamroller starts, like in football, it's like I don't see how we're going to stop this. But in baseball, one pitch turns the whole momentum around, and you scratch your head and what's your move now? But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it cool. Don't want to look ahead, and I know Coach Berry is, but you're scouting on Auburn. What do you think?
They're going to be tough, boy. And I tell you, they're led right in the middle of their lineup by a Mississippi kid, Bryson Ware, out of Madison, Mississippi, played at Germantown High School, went on to play at Pearl River Community College during 2020 for Michael Avalon, the national champion Pearl River Community College Wildcats. And he suffered an injury, got injured early, got offered early as well, and Auburn stayed with their commitment, and it's paid a dividend. He's now their single-season home run leader. Bryson Ware is that young man's name in that Auburn Tiger lineup. And look, he's going to be a force, and you're going to have to navigate it. And you're right, you don't want to look ahead, but in these regionals, you sort of got to peek and just kind of prepare yourself, because the turnaround time on these games are rather quick, right? Southern Miss going to play at 1 o'clock, Auburn at 6 o'clock. You get that win, you send the team to the hotel, and the coaching staff stays in the stands to scout and try to put together as much information as they can rather quickly. And then they roll that baseball back out there, and you're out there on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it should be a good one. And you've got to sort of at least think about pitching scenarios as well. Even though you don't necessarily look to the next game, you've got to plan your rotation. You've got to go ahead and start thinking about that now, don't you?
Absolutely. And, the beauty of it is that Southern Miss now kind of coming into their own on as far as their rotation and health and guys that can give them some long relief. There's been some important kids for Scott Berry step up this year, a Will Armistead, a Nico Mazza. And then you take those two guys who have really kind of played into this long relief role. And in my opinion, over the last month of the season, you could really deem some of those guys the MVPs of the Southern Miss club at the moment, with the way that they've ate up innings, maybe when the starters sort of struggled, like Matt Adams did in the conference tournament, and then it was Will Armistead's turn to step up, or Nico Mazza doing the same on Sunday. So to me, those are the guys that really, it's about the rotation in Hall, Oldham, and Adams, yes. But it's those other arms, in my opinion, that are standing there in the pen waiting their opportunity. You can go from a zero to a hero real quick in these regionals if you go in there and eat up some innings.
There's no doubt about it. Of course, all these programs, what's not a huge differentiating factor, they all play great defense as well.
They do. As a matter of fact, I think I agree, Gerard. I think it's one of the unknown factors of this Southern Miss Golden Eagle club is their defense, because anytime as a pitcher and anytime that you've got an elite guy like a Tanner Hall who's going to induce a lot of swing and misses, sometimes playing defense, you can get lackadaisical. You can sort of get back on your heels a little bit saying, oh, Tanner's going to get a swing and a miss here. And then when the ball's put in play, you're sort of caught off guard. But this Golden Eagle team has avoided that up to this point. And it's really one of the unknown factors in this regional. The team that typically pitches the best and plays the best defense can come out of these things.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And you're right about that. You can maybe get caught on your heels a little bit. Next thing you know, there's a rip in the hole, and you're not quite on your feet to get to that because you're used to watching him mow people down. I mean, that just does happen. Absolutely. It happens in the major leagues as well, as you well know. So
yeah, it does. It really does.
But I expect that Southern Miss is going to fare well. I like the way they're playing, and I think Coach Berry knows how to coach in these situations. And that's so important to know when to get involved and when to back off. You got to let the kids play, but you're also the skipper, and you got to do your job. But this is what makes the game fun, and we just congratulate Southern Miss on their success to this point, and we wish them the absolute best of luck. Jason, I know you have a good time broadcasting the game as well. We thank you, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gerard, so much.
You got it. Jason Baker, USM ESPN Plus broadcaster, has been our guest on Middays. We're stepping aside and coming right back.